Welcome to my wrecked Audi S3 that I bought from the insurance company. As you can see, it's had a front-on collision and we have done a lot to the car already. I got this car having no experience at all. As soon as I got it, we got the frame rail straightened, a brand new crash bar, brand new radiator support, radiator hood, headlights, fixed up the seat belts, did a lot of DIY panel beating, and we got a brand new RS3 style bumper. We even drilled holes in a brand new bumper. And now the car's finally coming together. We are on a big time crunch. In just a couple of days, we're taking this for its repairable inspection. But as you'll notice, the front bumper is still in primer grey. We've been given an amazing opportunity. I'm going to be painting the bumper by myself in an actual paint booth. This could go terribly wrong. You're watching Built, Not Bought. But first, we're going to tackle all those fault codes that came up when we turned the car on last time. So I don't have any fault codes anymore, and all I did... So it turns out with most Audis, when you disconnect the battery, it'll throw up all those codes. And the way to fix it is by literally turning your wheel lock to lock, and they'll immediately go away. But today, one of you actually reached out and asked me, have I already painted this bumper? And when I asked why, this was the answer I got. I own a panel shop on the Gold Coast if you need a place to paint it. Now, I've never painted anything like this that's actually matted before. This is definitely new to me. So obviously, I'm a little bit worried about this because this bumper matters. This car matters to me and I want it to look really nice. To start off, we're taking the bumper off and taking all the grille pieces out, so we're left with only the pieces that we're going to be spraying. Take the parking sensors out, piece that connects the bumper to the under tray. We'll take the big grille at the front, the side grills, and the little trim pieces at the bottom. Now all that's left is the bumper as we got it, with none of the grills in and the headlight washer jet covers. Pretty nervous about painting this, but you're never gonna learn if you don't try, so I'll see you there. This is Josh from Spectrum Auto Refinishing, and he has very gracefully let us use his paint booth. We've got it all sanded down to a point that I'm fairly happy with. I'm a little bit nervous about it, but Josh is gonna be giving me a hand with how to do everything, ready to mix up all the paint. This is basically a wall of mixing paints. Get a color sample of the color that you're trying to mix off the car, put that into the computer system, which will then tell you how much of what color paint you need to mix that specific color, and then grab those colors straight off the wall to mix together.
And you're gonna mix the color. No pressure, but don't stuff it up, because the more accurate you get your weights, the more accurate the color is going to be.
Okay.
We use what's called a spectrophotometer to create our colors. Essentially, got a series of lenses on the inside of it, like a little special camera, I suppose.
Right.
And yeah, it takes the color reading of the paint sample, and then it'll come up into the computer here. Got the all the tints that are required to make that color. These colors are down to 0.1 of a gram. Basically, 0.1 of a gram is, that's probably about 0.1 of a gram, maybe 0.2 of a gram there.
And he's telling me I've got to paint it. I've got to mix it.
Before I mix up this paint, 99.5% of the people that watch this channel aren't subscribed. For those that don't know, this is Built, Not Bought, where I rebuild cars for your entertainment and my fun. We also have Turbo Tales, where we take deep dives into car culture, stories, and engineering. So be sure to like and subscribe to join the community. Let's get on with mixing the paint.
Okay, so 239. All right, let's give it a shot.
These measurements are to such a small amount. We're trying to mix our white, so any variation could change the tint of the paint. The first one, if I stuffed it up, we could pour it back and try again. But pouring the second one, we're all in. It's really hard to put into words just how sensitive the scales were and just how precise you need to be. You actually need to close the lid a good amount of time before you want the weight to stop climbing, because it still drips. And this is the last hint. 0.1 grams of blue. If my hand slips and a lot of paint flows through, I'll ruin this mix. 0.1 of a gram is literally a drop, but thankfully we managed to do it.
Done. This is literally 0.1 of a gram of blue. It's like barely 2 droplets. That was nerve-wracking. To say the least, honestly. I was really worried I was going to stuff that up.
See it all coming together. You can see that metallic, that silver in there.
Mixing in, even the yellow.
It really changes quite a lot. Look, now we've basically got a silver.
Wow. There is a few points on here that I'm worried about, particularly this piece where you're actually spraying in here. I don't know how you're meant to get to that, but I guess we'll try our best. Now that we've sanded it, we're gonna blow all the air off and move it into the paint booth. Best thing about a paint booth is it sucks all of the particles that just float about out of the air.
So inside this large contraction here, we've got a massive intake fan on the left-hand side, and then we've got an exhaust fan on the right-hand side. Basically, this fan here is going to be blowing fresh air into the roof cavity of the booth. That's going to push fresh, clean, filtered air down into the booth, and then the exhaust, and that's going to draw all the contaminated air and paint particles through the floor filters, and then it'll go up through additional filters inside and then out the roof.
Now that it's in the booth, we're going to give it another clean down and then spray over some anti-static spray, because as you know, dust sticks to static and it's pretty much the enemy of spray paint. And lay down the first coat. Josh did the side that you can't see just to show me how to spray it and how far away that I needed to be to the bumper.
We've got the base coat on, and essentially this is the first layer of paint that the actual color is going to stick to. And look, I think we did pretty well.
We'll spray another coat of paint to completely cover the bumper, wait about an hour for that to cure, come back with some clear coat, spray over some clear coat, and then give it about 15 minutes between coats. Josh gave me a fair amount of guidance between coats to make sure that I did get the areas that I was previously missing out on as well. I did ask Josh to do the very last part for me. I hadn't got any runs and I was super happy, so I didn't want to stuff it up at this point.
And check this out. All right, now, as you saw, I didn't do the very last coat. Josh did that because I was worried I was going to stuff it up, but all in all, I managed to do a fair amount of this as well, thankfully. And yeah, I feel very blessed to have somebody reach out and actually let me use like a proper paint booth and everything. Pretty much from here, I've got to build the bumper back up, put it back on the car. It's got to get a roadworthy certificate to say that it's safe to drive on the road. It's got to go for its inspection. And once all that's done and dealt with, we're ready to actually register it and drive it. I'm gonna leave this here overnight to cure, and we'll come back for it tomorrow. Ooh. Just to give you an idea of the color match, this is the old bumper, and this is the headlight washer cap from the new one that we've just painted. And as you can see, I think maybe you can tell a bit of a difference, but also that could be because this bumper is a little bit dirty.
We're on a bit of a time attack now, and you've seen me clip this all in before, so we're going to do it really quickly, and it's looking much more like a bumper already. Now, we're going to move on to installing the washer jets that were both broken on the old bumper.
Pretty much. We've got these little yellow tabs. On these, you can see that little guide pin just there.
You can see those guide pins help hold it in the right place.
On this, we don't have the guide pins, so
we used a drill to drill in the guide holes that were missing from the new bumper, screwed in the headlight washers, then grabbed the headlight washer caps and installed them. And how good does this look? It makes such a difference when a bumper's painted. I can't wait to put this on the car.
now we're just adding the last little bits back. I'm happy with the way the hood's aligned and everything. So these are the next parts. Before I put the washer blades on, I think I'll put the washer blades on last. Let's do the bumper.
All right. Nothing in the washer jets, and connect them up.
When I was clipping the bumper to the fender, I realized that one of the holes didn't line up, so I had to whip out the drill.
And look at this. Oh my gosh. This is genuinely hard for me to look at. This has been months and months and months in the making, and it's finally coming together. Well, it's finally come together. Just gotta do some final bits and pieces. Gotta put the headlight washers back on and some of the trim pieces under the bonnet. I'm gonna wipe this down as best I can as well, because we have a roadworthy in the morning between 7 and 8 a.m. The only thing I'm not too happy with is this panel gap just here. As you can see, the fender's in a little bit and the bumper's out a little bit, but that's because this fender was bent inward a little bit. Now, because both the fenders are slightly off, I will get 2 new fenders eventually, but for the time being, this is fine and I can drive the car as is until I find some completely dead straight fenders.
Gonna put the wiper blades back on and make sure they're on snug. And now we're on to the last part.
These 2 covers are literally the last things to go on this. I kind of can't believe it. It's, you know, taken me months and months and months to get to this stage, and that's it. This is actually done. And it looks mental. Oh my God. I'm not going to celebrate too much because it is 11:43 p.m. I do have work tomorrow and I got to get up early for this roadworthy certificate, but damn. No words. Probably the next time I'll see you is actually driving this to get its written off vehicle inspection. Today is the day of reckoning. The S3 is finally going for its check. The inspection site's about an hour away, but in the mornings, because of work, it's 2 hours away. And we get to drive it there. I couldn't tell you how it goes. 1 out of 4 cars, I think, fails the first time. All right, first drive in the S3. I'm a little bit worried it's gonna break down or something. It feels kind of wrong to drive because it's not registered, but I've got all the paperwork to be able to drive it to the inspection site. Finally, I'm so ready to be driving this thing on the daily. I tried my best to plead my case and get the car registered the same day or get it inspected the same day so I could go and register it. But that didn't work, and so now we're at the train station and it's gonna take me probably 2.5 hours to get back. In the next video though, we're going over how much it actually cost me, whether it was actually viable, and did I save any money?